Okay, our next speed update. This is my friend. Our next speed update is from the Freshwater Habitats Trust. So we've got Paola, Ellie, and Evie coming to speak to us. All yours.
Good morning, yeah. Thanks very much, TVERC, for having us here today. I'm Paola, and I'm here with my colleagues Ellie and Evie, and we are going to give a very brief update on our project, Building Oxfordshire Freshwater Network, and what we've been up to as Freshwater Future trainees. So that's our job role. So this project is quite exciting, at least for us, because it's the first time that we've put in practice a groundbreaking approach to the protection of freshwater biodiversity that we call the Freshwater Network. So we are working to safeguard Oxfordshire's special freshwater wildlife by protecting, restoring, and creating a network of wetlands and freshwater habitats around the county. So we're focusing on the richest and most vulnerable parts of the freshwater landscapes, ponds, floodplains, and alkaline fens, and trying to inspire landowners and funders. And we expect that this freshwater network approach will be extended to the country and internationally in the future. And basically, the core message we want to send is that small freshwater and wetlands matter, and that more work should be put on the protection and restoration. So what the project is about, we have three main components. So we are creating some new habitats in Oxfordshire. We have a community engagement program called Grow Wet. And the third main component is us, so the Freshwater Future trainees, that I'm going to talk a little bit about just now. So basically the aim of this paid traineeship was to take 3 people with no previous job experience in conservation and train them, let's say, with a focus on like wetlands. I think we can say that wetlands traditionally have been considered sort of like unproductive habitats, and only more recently it's been highlighted their importance on hosting rare species, flood protection, water purification, carbon capture. So the aim of the whole traineeship is to get loads of like experience shadowing, workshops, courses from social media to habitat management. We enjoy a lot doing that. Project management, and all sorts of experiences that will help us to basically to, in the future, keep on in mind wetlands and be able to champion the, keep on championing these special but underrated habitats whenever we get our next roles in nature conservation. That's me, so I'm going to let you know with Ellie, who is going to talk a little bit more about the habitat creation part of the project. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Paola. And I just want to say that through the hard work of everyone at Freshwater Habitats Trust, all our partners, and with all the volunteers and recorders such as yourself, and including TVERC, we have been going ahead with some really fantastic habitat creation as part of the Building Oxfordshire's Freshwater Network project. And without the strong evidence base that creating clean waters really do benefit wildlife, and of all the records, the project wouldn't be able to go ahead. So thank you to everyone. And I'm just going to go over 3 of the habitat creation schemes that we've got going on, 2 of which are ongoing and 1 that was recently completed. So the first habitat creation scheme we've got going on is at Coleshill National Trust, which is over near Swindon on the other side of Oxfordshire, where we are creating wetland habitats in order to improve the wetland biodiversity of the site, but also help with the clean water provision. And the wetland creation involves several different stages, and the first of which we've been quite heavily involved in, was the digging of test pits on the site, which then you monitor the hydrology and the water level within these, and then that tells you about where's best to place the wetlands on the site. So this is us monitoring the wetlands much earlier in the year when the water level was much higher, which is a good sign for the site. They have retained some water throughout the whole of the drought, which is a really good sign. And in terms of the design at Coles Hill, this is the River Cole that runs through the middle of the site. And we have designed a large wetland mosaic, which is the pink area on the site. And we've also done 2 freshwater ponds. Second one is also ongoing, and it's been a similar process to the one at Coles Hill, but this time at Farmer Reservoir, which is a Thames water site. So we're working with them and have funding from them to create some community and wildlife ponds. So using the test bits, we've monitored the hydrology and designed ponds such as this one, which is a community pond. So it's near an existing footpath around the site, and it's going to have some pond dipping areas and an accessible boardwalk. So that will meet with the community engagement side of our project, as well as the wildlife ponds, which will have less public access, more for wildlife. And finally, this is our completed project very recently at Manor Farm, which is on the floodplain of the River Tame. And this was creating a wetland mosaic on the floodplain, completed in August, and we're now just waiting for lots of rain to feed the surface and groundwater supply to the site, and hoping that it will bring in some of the rare wetland plants that used to be at the site. And I'm now going to pass to Evie, who's going to talk a bit more about our Grow Up programme and our rare wetland plants.
Super. Thank you, Ellie. So before I very quickly whiz through our community engagement side, Grow Wet, just want all of you to think maybe what the rarest, most unusual plant is you've grown in your garden at home this summer. Because there's a high possibility, unless you were one of our volunteers, it wasn't one of these ones. So as part of Grow Wet, we've been using the power of the community to help us with wetland plant conservation. And we've enlisted over 400 volunteers to grow rare plants from Oxfordshire at home. So I don't have time to go through all 30, hell of a lot, but these are 3 of them: creeping marshwort, water violet, greater water parsnip. These have been propagated with help from our partners at the Oxford Botanic Gardens. So after some initial recruitment of volunteers through community days and that kind of thing, we then handed out these plants in the forms of seedlings and adult plants out to our volunteers. We gave them everything they needed to grow it, so including pots, saucers, instructions, compost. We also gave our volunteers a plant diary so that they can monitor what worked and hasn't worked in the form of growing these plants. That's been invaluable to us, so that in the future we can hopefully propagate plants more successfully, because little is known about how to domestically grow these. So we handed out these plants in late May, early August, and now we are in the process of collecting them. So with help from our wonderful community hubs, we're taking all these plants back. Once we've got all of these plants back, the idea is to grow them out into good quality freshwater habitats around Oxfordshire. So good quality meaning clean water, they have a management plan, or the process or the opportunity for a management plan to be put in place with these sites. This will help the natural reaches of that once were in of these plants around Oxfordshire, and help bring back some much needed biodiversity to some of our wetlands. So another big part of this community bit of our project is the event side, to help with bringing more engagement. So this included dance workshops, art events, poetry events, guided walks at a bunch of our sites that we work at. And we also had a big open nature day at Hinksey Heights, Spen, at the end of August. That was wonderful, including pond dipping, dancing, siding demonstrations, and it also got some coverage on the ITV News as well. So that really was excellent for us. So yeah, just in summary, the project that we've been working on, building Oxford's freshwater network, has 3 main areas to it. So it's training us trainees, the creation of new habitats, and getting the community involved in Oxfordshire to bolster our plant numbers and increase our biodiversity in our wetland habitats. If you'd like to ask us at all about this project, then please find us near the buffet after, or getting a drink. And if you might know of any sites in Oxfordshire where our plants might work well, or any landowners that you might know, then we'd absolutely love to hear of any ideas. So thank you very much for listening.
Questions?
Hello, hello, hello.
Thank you. Community ponds, what sort of size are you guys looking at? You know, they massive, small, we've got some community ponds that we're private owned at the minute, and there's a big discussion going on about whether water in it. So have you got any ideas of levels of sizing for well?
Mostly smaller. Is this in terms of creating them, or okay? Yeah. I don't know actual sizes, but they're not. The focus is on small ponds.
But it really depends
Couple
on
of meters across.
I was going to say it can depend on a lot of different things. For example, what kind of geology the site has as to whether you might want a for a community pond, you probably want it to have constant water in it, right?
Yeah.
Because we're finding that ponds that dry out annually tend to be good for wildlife too, but for a community pond, probably not the best.
Yeah, in some of our ponds, we've been trying to like tap into making a, what do you call it, sump?
Yeah.
So that can help with like filling them with water.
Yeah.
But
long drawdown zones tend to be good for ponds. It's good for things like frogs and toads and general different array of plants. But I think whether a pond is really big or really small, it can still bring a lot of biodiversity to it. So I apologise if that's a cop-out answer.
yeah, and also
But,
in the ones that we are creating,
it doesn't need
Yeah.
to, no, it really doesn't need to be massive to bring big, but a lot of biodiversity to
Just
it.
not too like immediately deep, because
yeah,
that's not
make
great.
it irregular to create some like structure that different like species can like
But-
share.
We're happy to talk more about it afterwards if you'd like to speak about it.
How can Berkshire make your idea?
So,
You can't, no.
so this is only the first year we're doing it. So it's from September last year to March next year. It's very much one reason we wanted to talk about it today is to spread the word. We're hoping to get more funding for it in the following years and spread it to different counties, this idea, because it's worked quite well in Oxfordshire this year, and we would really like to spread it. So all we can say is thank you for listening today. Remember the project, and we really do hope to spread it to other counties in the future. Fingers crossed we get funding.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the funding for it. So, but yeah, I think there's been talk to maybe extend it to
Buckinghamshire,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
with funding.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.